What is going on, guys? I am Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crumb. Mike, how are you?
The hashtag how y'all doing is literally on there, and you went with what's up, guys?
Man, hey, we were getting started early. I got excited, and I fumbled the intro, man. Sometime, every now and again, I'll mess up.
It's rare. It's very rare.
Yes, sir, it is. Well, Mike, while you're pointing out my imperfections, where can we find you on Twitter?
CD Piglet, guys, easy and simple.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, here we are with episode 3 of Mike and I's series, Offsides, a series where we bring on a fan of the opposing team the Cowboys are playing to discuss the matchup, what it's like to be a fan, and everything in between. I'd like to give a shout out to Massey for helping us out tonight with tonight's guest. You can find Massey on Twitter at TheJAMassey. Tonight's guest is a 49ers fan, unfortunately, a proud 12-year veteran and lifelong 49ers fan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nick Avis to the show. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm doing good. I hate to say you fumbled it twice, but the last name is Avis. The E throws everybody off. Justine Car Rental Company with an E at the end. But I'm doing good. I'm out here in California visiting, and I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I'll never miss an opportunity to talk football.
I'll never come on early again.
Seriously. It's the bad juju, man. It's the bad juju.
Oh, that's too good.
So, Nick, I don't want to assume, but are you on Twitter? And if so, where can we find you there?
I believe I am. I don't really use Twitter. I'm an Instagram guy. It's just Nick Avis 11, NickAvise 11, and my Twitter handle I believe is Nick Avis 06.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and get after it, Nick. How long have you been a 49ers fan?
Ooh, I became a 49er fan in about 7th grade. Albeit I'm 36 years old now, so is that 22 years or so of established fanhood? Yeah.
And did you have a favorite team prior to that, or do you remember at all who you liked before the Niners?
No, I've always been a 49er fan. I grew up in Southern California, so a lot of people kind of look down on that, saying, "How can you be? You had the Chargers, the Rams were there at one point. How did I become a Niner fan?" I just grew up watching Steve Young, and when you don't really have a team and you see Steve Young throwing touchdown passes, like a Hall of Famer, and that's who's on TV all the time, it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Is Steve Young your all-time favorite Niners player, or you got another one?
He is not. I'm a tight end guy, so right now I'm a huge George Kittle fan. I would say my overall favorite 49er would be Vernon Davis.
Oh, man, that's a good one. I like that one.
Can you win with him?
With George Kittle?
No, that was look at the Mike Singletary.
Can't
win with him.
Well, see, can't win with them. Yeah, I try to drown Mike Singletary out because he wasn't a very good head coach. So forgive me if I don't remember, but I don't like to remember those times of the 49ers history.
I feel you. It's like me you bringing up Dave Campo.
The dark ages for sure. Well, we know Vernon Davis is your all-time favorite player. Nick, who's your current favorite player on the 49ers?
It's George Kittle. I actually have a 85 Vernon Davis jersey, but I don't have an 85 Kittle jersey. So I may need to go invest in one. I'm a tight end fan. I think it's one of the most underrated positions in the NFL. And when you have an elite tight end that are difference makers like George Kittle, like Vernon Davis, like Travis Kelce, guys that double down as pass catchers and blockers, I think it's incredibly underrated. So I've always been a fan of tight ends.
Can I ask, have you watched Jake Ferguson at all, the second-year player for the Cowboys?
I have not, but I have heard. I'm in 5 fantasy leagues. My wife, it drives my wife crazy, and I've heard good things about him. I tried to get him on the waiver wire last week, and I wasn't able to pick him up.
Yeah, I was going to get it because you're a tight end guy, so I was going to get an opinion on it. It's early. He hadn't done a lot yet, but we're hoping he can turn into a Kittle.
There's a lot of guys this year in the National Football League. Puka is one of them who, it's early, but the guy is absolutely electric. And a lot of times, other than the quarterback position, if you're showing promise this early on and you're doing big things this early on, it's usually pretty indicative that you're going to be a pretty good player in this league.
Absolutely.
So question, Niners, Cowboys, is it the best rivalry in the NFL?
You know, I really think a lot of rivalries are fan based, like the fans kind of make them up. The Niners and Cowboys rivalry has kind of fallen by the wayside over the course of the past 10 years, and it was renewed 2 years ago in the divisional game and last year in the divisional game. I think with where we're kind of at, it is one of the best rivalries in the NFL, and I think maybe this Sunday we're just going to see how good of a rivalry it is. I know Dak Prescott has some bad blood out there. I know last year in the divisional game, the Trent Williams situation, a lot of Cowboy fans aren't real happy with Trent Williams. No, I'm sorry, that was the Eagles. But I did hear some bad juju about Trent Williams on a couple Cowboy shows. So it's undoubtedly a great rivalry. So whether it's the best or not, I don't know. I think it's a great rivalry, and I'm excited to see what comes to fruition on Sunday night.
I'm with you on the fan thing, because living in California, a lot of my best friends are Niner fans. And back in the day, in the 90s, I hate them, yelling on the phone with them, everything. But as we both kind of started to lose, I started to get like, man, I kind of want y'all to win. Like when they would go to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship, I would kind of root for them, because it's like, damn, I want to hate y'all, but like neither of us win. So it's like, I agree. Like it kind of fell away for a while.
Well, we don't win, but we do win, if that makes sense, right? And I think that's the reason why the Niners and the Cowboys are two of the most hated franchises in NFL history, because they have the 5 rings and because there's such a deep history within each franchise. And the Cowboys and Niners have always played each other really well. I think the all-time record is totally tied right now. So coming into Sunday, whatever team wins is going to have a 1-game edge on the other one, and bragging rights going in the playoffs. So it's exciting. It's definitely a great rivalry. And I couldn't be more pumped for Sunday. I'm actually going to be at the game, so I'm incredibly excited.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. 19-1 is that
That's what
right?
Yep.
Well, we know it's going to be an exciting game, Nick, but you look at it, I know it's only week 5. Is this the biggest regular season game for the 49ers fans?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. It's going to be a huge game for us to win, but it is incredibly difficult to go undefeated in the NFL. And if we're going to lose a game, I would rather it be to a really good team. I don't want to go out and lose to like the Cardinals the second time we play them, or the Seahawks for a divisional game. It's undoubtedly a big game. I don't necessarily know that it's the biggest game. And quite frankly, I would rather lose to y'all in the regular season than lose to you guys come playoff time. So it's a big game. I don't necessarily know that I can say it's the biggest game, considering it's only week 5.
Is it, like for Dallas fans, it's big for us because you guys eliminated us the last 2 years and kind of punked us. Like, I mean, if I'm being honest about it, is it not as big for Niner? Like right now, if you had to choose, would you rather beat us or Philly? I think you guys play Philly this year, maybe, but which one would be a bigger win, because you guys lost to Philly where you kind of dominated us the last 2 times and eliminated us?
So I want to win every game, obviously, and I want to win games against rivalries. And I have a lot of friends that are Cowboy fans that I really don't want to hear the crap talk if we do lose this game. So obviously, I want to beat the Cowboys. But with that being said, I will tell you that from when the clock struck 000 last year in the NFC Championship game, the game that every single 49er fan had circled on their schedule this year is the Eagles. That fan base is absolutely the worst fan base in the NFL. I think that's something we can agree on as Niner fans and Cowboy fans. And to Eagles fans, for all intents and purposes, acted like the 49ers had no business being in that game whatsoever, when the fact of the matter is you can't beat a good team without a quarterback. And we were in that game up until maybe halfway through the third quarter with the quarterback that couldn't throw the ball. So I would, if I had to pick one, if we had to go 1-1 of those games, I would much rather beat the Eagles.
I'll tell you, you guys, first of all, their first touchdown shouldn't have counted because the guy dropped the ball and they missed it.
And Shanahan didn't have the ability, didn't have the know-how, or, I guess the balls, for lack of a better term, to challenge the damn play.
Yep. And then you went on with the backup quarterback and went and tied the game, and it was tied for a while before he went out. And then it became like, well, we don't, the Eagles offense doesn't have to do anything because they know that the other team has no quarterback. They can't do anything, so they don't have to have any risk.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact number, but I think the 49ers defense was on the field like 75% of that game from that point forward. You're gassed. You're not giving your guys any chance to catch a breath or take a break. Yeah, it that goes down as one of the most gut-wrenching games to watch as a 49er fan, among many gut-wrenching games.
Go ahead, Paul.
Mike, I believe this is on you, right?
No, I just reworded my question to put it how I wanted to.
Yeah, so, every game's important, Nick, but at the end of the day, does this game mean anything to 49ers fans?
Yeah, absolutely. Every game is important, and I don't think you put more of an emphasis on any one this early in the season. What's really important to me is, and I know you're probably going to ask the question later of where the Niners, Cowboys, and other teams rank in the NFC, but obviously a first-round bye is huge in this league now. There's no longer 2 first-round byes. It's 1, right? And I think there's a lot to be said about that first-round bye, getting that extra week off, not having to put your team through the wear and tear of playing that game before you get to the divisional round. So the Cowboys and the Niners are both going to be in the mix for that first-round bye. Seeing as though the Cowboys already have 1 loss under their belt, this game would essentially put you guys ahead of us because you would have the head-to-head on us. So it's absolutely important. And from that front, yeah, I definitely think the Niners need to come with this game. And whoever does win this game is going to have a massive edge moving forward.
How do you feel about your young quarterback, Brock Purdy?
So I get a lot of flack from 49er fans because there are a lot of 49er fans that are already claiming, he's the next Tom Brady. He's going to be our franchise quarterback. Brock Purdy is outstanding with what he's doing right now. It's a phenomenal story. I love everything about it. And in my heart of hearts, for who he is as a person, a man of faith, just an all-around great player on and off the field, I hope it continues. I really do. But it also could be a product of you have George Kittle, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Juwan Jennings. I mean, you have so many weapons, and you have a relatively decent line that protects him. It's not the best line. That's probably one of the Niners' weaknesses right now. But he has time in the pocket, and he's able to make passes. He's got guys that make great plays in space. He's got guys that are outstanding after the catch. So the numbers could be a little bit inflated. When you're throwing 15 yards to Deebo and he's getting 35 yards after, the yards are going up, the quarterback rating is going up. All these things are going up. So I love Brock Purdy. It may have been a little bit premature to let Trey Lance go. That's the topic for another day. I hope he continues it, but I'm not fully sold on Brock Purdy yet.
So you mentioned the pieces around Purdy. Do you think that he's more of a product of the system, or could you see him succeeding anywhere just because of the type of player that he is?
So I think being a product of the system is going to be incredibly beneficial for him moving forward. He's getting a lot of reps that he wouldn't otherwise get if the situation didn't unfold the way that it did. So to do this on such a good team and to do it on such a team, you got to remember he's playing against these guys in practice, right? He's playing against the top-rated NFL defense in practice. So I don't think it's far-fetched to think that he could be great. I think he's more along the lines going to continue to be a good, serviceable quarterback in the NFL. So I guess the short answer to that is currently it is part of the system. And I think he could be successful outside in other teams just based on the experience that he's getting in San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's when your team's that good, it's hard to know. Could you just put this quarterback anywhere and he's going to perform like this? So your 2 best things are probably your run game and your pass rush. Which one do you think is more important for this game against Dallas?
I'm going to say it's going to be the pass rush for the simple fact that Christian McCaffrey, I would be shocked if there's not a great game plan in place to stop him. You're going to force Brock Purdy to throw the ball. You're going to force Brock Purdy to be in very uncomfortable situations with the Dallas pass rush coming after him, situations that he's just not accustomed to. So with that being said, the Niners are going to have to put an equal amount of pressure on Dallas. Dak Prescott is out for blood. He is irritated from the last 2 years. There's weapons in Dallas as well. I think Tony Pollard is going to be affected. I don't think he's going to have quite the same game, just like McCaffrey. And we're going to have to get the pass rush going, and we're going to have to not allow Dak to get the ball into CeeDee Lamb's hands. If the ball gets into CeeDee Lamb's hands, that's what's going to hurt us. If he goes for 122 touchdowns, Niners probably lose the game. If we can hold him to under 8 receptions and under 100 yards, and we can knock Dak on his ass a couple times, I think that puts San Francisco in a good chance to win the game.
Everything you just said about CeeDee Lamb is what I fear about both Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
So Nick,
and they're going to be open because you can't cover everybody, and
Right,
George Kittle's going to be open over the middle. It's going to be a game for the ages. You're looking at a team that creates mistakes versus a team that doesn't make mistakes. So something's got to give.
Right, absolutely. Nick, I got a 2-part question for you here. One, you look at the 49ers, they have an amazing electric offense and then, of course, a stout defense. Well, what is the 49ers' identity? And 2, you touched on it a little bit, but do the Niners have a weakness?
Their identity is smash mouth football. They're a very physical team. Going back to Trent Williams, you saw that last year. They're physical in defeat and they're physical when they're winning games. Yeah, so I would just say physicality is definitely their identity. And if I had to choose a weakness, it's going to be the O-line is going to be protecting Brock Purdy, and maybe a little bit in the secondary. That defense is not the defense that it was last year. It's not as fine-tuned. It's not as crisp, and that's what scares me about Dallas. We barely pulled out a win against Dallas last year with a fine-tuned and incredibly crisp defense, and the defense just does not look the same this year. So if Dallas can come in with a similar game plan and do things the right way, and expose the secondary, and if Dak can get rid of the ball quickly, I think it puts Dallas in a pretty good position to win this game.
That's funny because my next question was, does the Cowboys offense scare you? Because with a defense that's good, you could walk in and go, I ain't scared of anybody. So you kind of answered that. So what versus what you've seen for your 49ers, what scares you about Dallas's offense going against them this week?
Revenge. The Cowboys and Dak are in full revenge mode. Micah Parsons scares the living daylights out of me. He probably will be the defensive player of the year this year. Nick Bosa hasn't been himself for 4 or 5 weeks because he held out. Parsons is an absolute menace. If Dak plays mistake-free football, he's going to have a huge game. Tony Pollard is probably the second best running back in the National Football League next to Christian McCaffrey. And CeeDee Lamb is an absolute beast. So if you get the ball in space to CeeDee Lamb, so the Dallas offense scares me. I'm also, on the flip side of that, I'm also incredibly confident in the 49ers. So I could see it going either way. I could see San Francisco's defense shutting you guys down to less than 17 points. And I can also see Dallas putting, a 27 spot up. It's just going to come down to coaching and who has a better game plan coming into the game. Coaching is going to be huge.
I so agree with it because there are times in my head that I'm like, we could hold the Niners under 20. And there are times where I'm like, dude, they might put 30 up. Like it's that depending on what hour of the day it is.
Shanahan is way too conservative to put up 30 points. So he gets the lead, or if a game's close, he'll run the ball 10 times. It's why he lost that Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. In my opinion, it's why we lost the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He gets the lead and he's way too conservative. So as great as a head coach and as great as an offensive mind he is, he really needs to learn to kind of keep his foot on the gas, even when you have a 2-score lead.
And in 2021, that game came, everybody's like, that game came down to Dak scrambling. He said that game should have been a 20-point blowout. Kyle Shanahan kept us in that game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now I don't want to negate what Dak did because I still think that was probably the second worst playoff fumble that I've seen in my life. I'm using fumble, obviously figuratively because it was a literal fumble. But Marshawn Lynch not running the ball in the Super Bowl, and then you have Dak Prescott with seconds left on the clock with no timeouts trying to scramble in a playoff game. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about Kyle Shanahan, as good of an OC and offensive mind that he is, ending games, just playing not to lose and not playing to win. That's interesting to think about, Nick. You look at this matchup, and I think it's fair to say that the San Francisco is the better team, but would you be surprised if Dallas were to win this game?
No, I wouldn't be at all. I think the revenge factor alone, obviously home field advantage doesn't mean what it used to in the NFL. Guys are getting talked to in their helmets, things like that. Crowd noise is a factor, but not what it used to be. We're not playing the game in Seattle where it's the loudest stadium. I've been there. It's incredibly loud. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas wins it all. I'm just going to say any given Sunday, the Cardinals are not nearly as good as the Cowboys are, and the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, right? The Niners and Cowboys are 1A and 1B probably in the NFC. You can include Philly in there, but I think right now it's a two-legged horse between the Niners and Cowboys. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them lose. However, I'm fully expecting a 49er win.
Well, I think you ranked them right there, but go ahead, rank Dallas, and just give me your top 5 NFC teams. Let's do it like that.
There you go.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go 1 through 3. 4 and 5 might take me a minute. 1 through 3 is incredibly easy for me. It's San Francisco, it's Dallas, it's Philly. Man, you're putting me on the spot with the other NFC teams here.
It's okay. Give me why. How about why is Dallas over Philly? Seems how Dallas no-showed one game and lost. Why would you still make the case? And I agree that Dallas is ahead of Philly from what you've seen.
I have not been impressed with Philly's level of play. And then one name in general that they lost to us is Hargrave. That guy is an absolute menace coming after quarterbacks. That's a huge loss on the Philly front. And Dallas is just the eye test. I mean, 40 points, 3 turnovers, and 21 points on turnovers against the Giants. Albeit, yeah, it is a Giants, but the special teams and the defense of the Dallas Cowboys just looks absolutely phenomenal. And I would say, although I agree the 49ers are the better team overall, I would say that right now Dallas has a better defense, which is scary. You could, in theory, put Dallas 1B or 1A, 1B with Philly, but I think with what I've seen from both teams to this front, and I haven't watched a whole lot of the Eagles play, but I've watched enough that I'm confident in saying Dallas is a better team right now.
I think San Francisco would smash Philadelphia right now. The way they're playing now. I'm a guy that's they went 4-0. So, you go 4-0, you go 4-0. You could be a totally different team and playing better by the end of the year. So just get your wins. But by the way Hurts and the defense is playing, I think the Niners would smash them right now.
And I hope you're right.
Am I crazy for thinking that the Lions might actually be better right now than Philly is right now?
That's a good point. It's funny. Coming into week 1, I was watching the game at home, and a buddy of mine said, the Lions are going to be a sleeper team this year to make a deep run. And I laughed in his face, and I called him crazy. I said, the Detroit Lions, you're kidding me, right? And I watched them play. The fact that they're not even giving the ball to Gibbs like they should. I have Gibbs on fantasy, and it's driving me crazy, and they're still winning games.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they look like a great team right now. Defensively, they're stout.
Philly's defense is reliant heavily on pass rush, and the Lions may have eclipsed Philly as the best offensive line in football. So, it would not shock me at all if Detroit beat Philly head up.
Well, and I kind of question how good Philly's O-line was anyway, just with that push garbage that they do all the time. Anybody can do that. They just do it incredibly well. So I think if you take that away from them, you take a lot of red zone opportunities away last year.
They do a lot of they're very smart in their game planning. That when you see a 4th and 8, most defenses say, "Hey, let them get the 6 yards, tackle them, make them punt." Well, Philly goes take the 6 yards, and then we'll just do the QB sneak on 4th down.
Yeah, we'll just go for it.
Yep, it's something the league needs to adjust their line, because Philly doesn't play to the first down marker; they play to 2 yards of the first down marker. So that's something that has to be adjusted to.
And to be fair, I'm a fan of going for it on 4th down more often. I think this is the NFL. Like, we got 2 yards. You're telling me you can't get 2 yards? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't want to be backed up in your own territory and going for it on 4th down. But if you're beyond the 50-yard line, even if you don't get it, you're not trusting your defense. These guys still got to get 50 yards for a touchdown. They still got to get 20-ish yards to get into field goal range. I think NFL teams should go for it on 4th down more often, make the games a little more exciting, but that's just my 2 cents, completely sidebar.
Sounds like you're a friend of Brandon Staley.
Yeah. Is that a Brandon Staley thing too?
He might be the riskiest play caller in the NFL. I mean, he puts his team in some bad spots from time to time. Luckily, they've won those games, but he has made some questionable decisions, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of that from him, but yeah.
Is that Chargers?
Chargers head coach, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right, Nick. Well, what do the Niners need to do to win this game?
I think the Niners need to contain Dak Prescott, and I think they need to get creative with the play calling. The Niners have relied heavily on Christian McCaffrey the first 4 weeks. I mean, they have 4 touchdowns last week alone in a game that was a blowout. Tells me that they're relying on Christian McCaffrey too much. They need to spread the ball around. I think most importantly, Brock Purdy needs to do what Brock Purdy does and play mistake-free football. Whoever wins the turnover battle in this game, in my opinion, is going to win the football game. The Niners take care of the ball really well from a fumbling standpoint. Brock Purdy to this point has not thrown an interception, but Brock Purdy has also not faced a pass rush like Dallas. Brock Purdy hasn't faced the corners that Dallas has. So mistake-free football and just avoiding overusing Christian McCaffrey and staying true to what they've done all year, spread the ball around a little bit more.
All right, so you're starting a brand new franchise expansion, a brand new team, and you have to start it off. Do you want Dak or Purdy as your starting quarterback?
I'm going to start by playing devil's advocate here and obviously mention the 7-year age gap, right? We got 23-year-old Brock Purdy versus 30-year-old Dak. With that being said, it's Brock. Now, if we're eliminating age altogether, I'm going with Dak by a large margin. He's played in bigger games. He's just had longevity in the league in general. He's well respected in the league. And you know what you're getting from Dak Prescott. Whether you want to talk about the Dak that makes careless throws and interceptions or the Dak that's going to march his team downfield and win football games, you're looking at a guy who has longevity in the league, who's proven, that he can win games, who's proven that he's been in the playoffs 2 years in a row, versus Brock Purdy, who has 15 NFL games under his belt, a couple playoff wins, but again, albeit with an outstanding defensive front behind him. So, yeah, I'm taking Dak Prescott by a long shot here. I'm starting a franchise with one of these guys.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
Go ahead,
go ahead, Mike. No, go ahead.
You're good.
No, I was going to say, if Dak were to be the Prescott of the 49ers right now, do you think there'd be a substantial difference in the offense and maybe more high scoring, or because of Shanahan's conservativeness, would it still be similar numbers, do you think?
I think Shanahan would probably trust Dak Prescott to open up the playbook a little bit more. He's an offensive guy, but I don't necessarily think that he trusts Brock Purdy to open up the playbook all the way yet. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of runs and overuse of Christian McCaffrey, even as opposed to using some of the backup backs. But I think with Dak Prescott, the playbook would be opened up a little bit more. There'd be a little bit more scoring. And quite frankly, I think if we had Dak Prescott in the NFC Championship game against Philly, we win that game. I think there's a chance we win it with Brock. I think if it was Dak, it'd be a slam dunk win.
Dak doesn't lose to Philly. He does whip them. Like, even Philly fans will admit, will be like, no, we got to beat him. He kicks our butt.
So Dak Prescott is a lot, and don't kill me when I say this. Hear me out first. Is a lot like Jimmy Garoppolo in the sense that they make mistakes, but they're not afraid to throw it downfield. And I think that's why a lot of players on the Niners respect Jimmy G. You're going to throw a few picks, but you're not afraid to sling it down there. You're not afraid to try to find guys open. And Dak does that too. Dak, I want to score touchdowns. I want to be the guy that helps win games. And if I'm going to throw a pick here and there, that's what I'm going to do. You have Brock Purdy, who he's not making those kinds of throws because he doesn't have to. You know what I mean? So for what that's worth.
I like it. All right, Nick, who will win this game?
San Francisco.
Mike?
San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm so undecided early in the week. I'm sitting here thinking San Francisco is going to not easily win this, but, pretty sure they're going to win this. Then the last couple of days, I'm like, man, I feel like Dallas has a chance. Both of you guys say San Francisco. I want to say Dallas just to be different, but I do think San Francisco is also going to win this game.
I think the injury report has a lot to do with it too. If Dallas is a little bit healthier, I wouldn't be as confident in saying San Francisco, but San Francisco is healthier than they've been in a long time at this juncture of the season, and Dallas is hurt, and you guys are missing a big piece on defense. So
yeah,
only Mitchell's out for the Niners. That's the only guy. Everybody else was full participation this week,
and that doesn't matter because Shanahan's going to feed the ball to McCaffrey 35 times. So
for real,
and watch Mitchell go off for 100 and a tutty on Sunday night. So you never know. Speaking of tutties, who's going to score the first touchdown, Mike?
I got McCaffrey. I mean, it's kind of like chalk. I think
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Dallas will do a decent job against them like they did in the playoffs, but I think he'll get in either receiving or running for the first touchdown.
Nick, how about you? Who scores the first touchdown?
So I'm gonna oppose you on that one. I think Dallas is gonna do a really good job of containing McCaffrey the first half. I think they're gonna be worn out, and he might make a bigger impact the second half. They're also going to have their hands full with Ayuk and Debo. They're going to try to cover those guys as much as they can. So I'm going to go one of two guys here. My guess is Kittle over the middle, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Kyle Juszczyk get involved.
Oh, wow.
In the backfield.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the chalky answer as well. And I'm going to go with Mr. Christian McCaffrey. You're talking earlier a little bit about your fantasy teams, Nick. Who's going to have the most fantasy points in this game?
See, I want to say I want to say McCaffrey because McCaffrey has all season just done it, and that's a really hard question because these are two really, really high-powered offenses. I'm gonna kind of go a little bit against the grain here. I think San Fran is going to win the game, but I think CeeDee Lamb is going to have a massive game, and he's going to put up 28 points.
Oh, I wouldn't be mad about that. Mike, how about you? Who do you think is going to have the most fantasy points?
That was my battle. My battle was I don't think the Niners can guard Lamb, and I don't think Dallas can guard Ayuk. And so I was going back and forth on who I think is going to get more, and I landed on Ayuk. But that Lamb was the other guy for the same reason. I love Gilmore and Bland. I just don't like how they match up with Ayuk, and I didn't like how Diggs did either. Last year, Ayuk hadn't developed into the guy he's become this year. And I think it's that he's going to give Dallas a lot of trouble.
The reason I don't want to go with the 49er here is I'm just doubling down on Shanahan's conservative play calling. And if we can get a lead, he's going to do his best to milk the clock and make sure the Dallas offense is off the field as much as he can. And when Dallas is on the field, they're going to double down on their best offensive weapon on the field. And in my opinion, that's CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, so the player I think will score the most fantasy points. I feel like maybe the red zone offense is going to work itself out. This is a big game, and I think the Cowboys will work out those kinks. So give me Dak Prescott to score the most fantasy points this week.
I like it. Picking a quarterback in with two teams that have an abundance of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but I could see it happening. I could see Dak rushing for a touchdown and throwing 2 or 3. So,
hey, I wouldn't be mad about that. All right, Nick, give us a score prediction here.
I'm going to say San Fran wins it 27-17.
Oh, I like that. Okay. 10-point deficit. Mike,
you don't like it. Don't tell me you like it.
He's trying. He wants to make sure they hear it. He wants to send it to Dallas' locker room. I got San Francisco 24-23. I think it'll be the same type of thing. Like maybe we're down, but we're not able to go down on that Niner defense and score to win it. Maybe Aubrey rookie misses a 50-yarder, something like that. Something that'll hurt us for a week. We'll be in pain for the week.
And what I'm sorry, did you say 27-24, Mike? Is that what you said?
24-23, San Francisco.
Because my guess is 27-24, and I'll say Dallas.
Okay.
You flipped it. Did you? I thought you picked Niners.
I picked Niners to win, but just in the back of my mind, I can't stop thinking about how Dallas is going to pull off the upset, the early season upset.
You can't go against your team 2 times on the same show, man. So I get it, and you're speaking the good juju out there. You're putting the vibes out in the atmosphere. So I can dig it.
He got mad when you said they lose by 10. So
that's what it was.
He flipped it.
Can we lit a fire, man?
Speaking about kickers, can we just for a moment here? I know this is a Cowboy show, but can we just for a moment appreciate Jake Moody? Where he came from in college, being the kicker that he was, to having an awful, awful camp. I mean, he was missing almost every kick. And the guy's gone out there and he's hit every field goal and every PAT. So that could be it.
Have you followed Brandon Aubrey?
I have not.
He is a soccer player who is new to football and was USFL or XFL, one of those.
I think it was USFL.
USFL. He comes to Dallas and is just, it's not good. Like, it's bad. And then his first extra point he misses, And everybody was like, nope, we're not doing this. Get this guy out of here. And he has not missed a kick since. And every kickoff has been a touchback. So both of our kickers have a good story going into this game, which means one of them is missing a kick to lose this game.
It's going to come down to a kick, isn't it?
You don't have Mayer anymore to kind of miss 3 PATs in a row for you in a playoff game. So you can't get any worse than that.
He was so good that year, too. It was so weird.
I mean, luckily it was in a game that you all dominated and it didn't really matter much. But Jerry Jones wasn't happy. I think he went out and got a kicker like 2 or 3 days later after that.
He was not. He had basically said after that, it's like, yeah, we're getting a new kicker that going into the next year, Maher is not getting signed. I was
who's he with now?
Denver?
Is it Denver?
Is it Denver? I don't know why I thought it was the Rams, but maybe it is Denver.
Oh, no. You're right. It is the Rams.
Yeah, it is the Rams.
He was in Denver and got cut. And the Shocker. Rams picked him up.
Hey, those bright lights, man, those can get the best of us.
Yeah, they could. And like Mike was saying, he was so good for so long, you know, and to go into that game and do that. I had a buddy over from California who's also a Niners fan, and we were going back and forth for about 30 minutes arguing that, Jerry Jones is going to sign a kicker. And I'm like, no, he's not. No, and sure enough, Jerry Jones signed a kicker 2 days later, and I lost that bet.
Well, hopefully it wasn't too much money, man.
No, it was a gentleman's bet. So we're good.
I got you. Well, Nick, man, I really enjoyed the discussion tonight. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and taking the time while you're on vacation. Before we get you out of here, I know you said you don't use Twitter very much, but plug your Instagram, and if you're creating any content, let us know where we can find that.
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram is NickAvis11, NickAvise 11. Not a whole lot of sports content on there right now, but I do post, from every once in a while. So if anybody wants to hit me up there and chat with me, my DMs are always open.
Mike, remind the people they can find you on Twitter.
At CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy. Thank you for coming on, Nick, and I hope you have to watch your team lose, but I don't expect it.
Well, we're making a return trip. We're driving out Sunday and then driving back right after the game. So if I do that and a loss, it's gonna hurt.
Brutal. Oof.
Well, guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for having me.